Common Sense Media activated.
This is dedicated to all the fathers out there teaching their kids about commitment and showing them the way. You are now entering Dad Mode, a podcast with a dad's eye view, and we are your hosts, the friendly neighborhood amazing dad,
Rich,
and I am the Papa of Steel, Ed James. What up, Dad?
what's going on, Pops? The Pop of Steel, huh?
The Papa of Steel. That's right.
Papa of Steel.
Yeah, Big Papa Pump, it's your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who remember Scott Steiner, man, that dude was huge. His muscles had muscles, man. This dude would flex, and like his bicep had a like baby bicep on top of it. It was stupid.
And it'll wave at you.
Man,
Hey, what's up?
that was, man, those were the days of wrestling, man. I don't sound like an old head, but you know, you had the WWF, the Monday Night Raw versus the TNT Nitro battle days. It was like you got DX on one channel, the NWO on the other, then you go back to Stone Cold, and then you go back to the NWO Wolfpack, and then you go to The Rock. Yeah. Then you have the Four Horsemen on the other channel. Bro, it was crazy. It was
That's like
incredible.
way too much. Oh, man, that's right. That's coming up next weekend, ain't it?
What is?
WrestleMania, I think. I think it's next weekend.
Is it about that time already?
Yeah, I think it is about that time.
See, man, I'm so far out of the loop in wrestling.
And you know
now.
what?
Like,
You know what's annoying? You know what's annoying is that all these old wrestlers are coming back. The Rock, last year is John Cena,
You said,
and you know, I mean, they're not old.
he's
like
old. No, he's
Ric Flair,
older.
but you know, but it's just,
yeah.
it's just interesting. I don't know.
Can I? This is a safe space, right?
Yeah, safe.
I have to admit something.
Just to the whole world, but whatever.
That's true. I do not like John Cena. I just don't. He does nothing for me. It's like I don't think he's a bad guy, but there's some other opinions as to why I don't like him that I'll leave off the mic. But you know, he started off with "Word Life. This is basic thugonomics," and then I see him now, and he's running around. He's like, "Hi, I'm John," and he just looks so fake and uncomfortable, man.
Like, he looks like a Superman.
It's I don't know. He's just. I watched Peacemaker because I'm a DC Comics guy, and I wanted to love it. I just didn't. I'm not really excited about James Gunn's direction for DC. Maybe it'll be awesome. Maybe it won't. But I don't know, man.
I've never been a big fan of him when it comes to him as a wrestler, because he was like a hip hop guy or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you fake, man. Eminem looking, trying to be swole anyway. Yeah.
The first time I saw that dude is when I lived in Alaska, and they were at, I forgot the stadium that's downtown, but you know, they had him and all those other dudes, and it looked like a backyard show. That's crazy. That dude is a freaking movie star now.
Yeah.
So,
and
welcome to Rich and E's wrestling talk.
And I was going to say, because because we're about to talk about some commitment, and I know these wrestlers are really committed to doing these fake wrestling moves and how they're selling it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and they have to really. A lot of these guys will stay in character even when they're not on camera. And the people, and Carr can talk a lot about this. Maybe we'll have to do a little side episode with me and Carr talking about this. But like they call them marks. So the people that aren't in on it, you know, they're called marks. And so these guys they get backstage, and it's like, I'm still Hollywood Hulk Hogan or whoever is popular today. Roman Reigns, I guess.
Yeah.
So as mentioned in our dedication, we're going to be talking about commitment, or that was your hint, really. But yeah, we're going to talk about commitment, and not just like what you can do to stay committed to whatever you're trying to be committed to, but teaching our kids about commitment through responsibilities, through examples, like by leading them and showing them the way through what you do. And then also making sure that your children understand exactly what commitment is, not just by doing things, but like sit down and explain to them why commitment is important. And I'm really excited about this one. This topic is something we floated around about a week or so ago, and it was kind of one of those ones where we put aside. Well, now we're getting into a little dad mode inside baseball, but we had a different topic lined up. But this one just kept coming in so strong, and with all the activities that the two of us got going on, I was like, man, it's in the back of our minds, man. Actually front of mind. Let's just do it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, because you presented it and it was like, yeah, this is something that we should do right now compared to trying to put it on the pinboard of topics of what to talk about.
For sure.
Yeah, this is something that is, we do have kids that are committed in certain areas, so we need to talk about it, and hopefully all the fathers and parents that are out there, they have the same type of situation that we were in. So yeah, I think when it comes to their children being committed to anything, so yeah,
yes, sir.
I'm ready for this, man. This is going to be good.
Yes, sir. I mean, hey, man, likewise. But before we get rolling into that, we got a couple of housekeeping items in our public dad announcement. So there are 2 episodes left. 2 episodes left until Big Rich here moves to the land, the Lone Star State. The Lone Star State, deep in the heart of Texas, baby. It's coming to the Say-Town, the 210, Alamo City, Military City, home of the 5-time NBA champions, the San Antonio Spurs, who just so happened to also beat the Phoenix Suns for the 3rd time this season, leading the series 3-1. But I digress. Yes, sir.
Gotta put that in there.
I did. So, a quick cleanup item. I said the last episode is the 1st of May. It's actually the last week of April will be our last episode until he moves here. We'll be back again this summer. Stay tuned on the socials where we'll provide that information. Maybe I'll drop a little teaser trailer for the next season, or if we decide to not go seasonal, a trailer nonetheless. So keep your eyes peeled. Keep those emails coming. We really appreciate the feedback, the love and the support, and a little clarification. This man is not my child. The kid is not my son. And he is not my father. Although, he is old and I'm young and beautiful.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
We had some folks, when we say, what up, Dad, what up, Pops, we've added that the last few episodes. Just, a little intro we like to do. There was some confusion as, oh, you're doing this with your father?
Oh, yeah. My dad ain't in this one.
And and I'm not, and I don't want to make fun of anybody. I was thinking about that. I'm like, wouldn't I, if that's the case, I wouldn't say my wife, I would say your mom.
Oh man.
Son. When your mother and I were raising you.
Yeah. Like, this is how dad mode went on. Okay, never mind. That's getting there.
Hey, shout out to Big Rich's pops. Love that guy.
Yeah, he's
and
good, yeah.
And lastly, for our public dad announcements, I'm going to circle back to social media. Be on the lookout for a poll. We would like to know, do you prefer an hour show, an hour 15, or about an hour and a half show? These last few episodes, we felt like we've cut ourselves short in the interest of time, because we understand that most people listen to these shows when they are commuting or when they are exercising or doing yard work and certain activities that don't last super long. We're not going to go, and no disrespect to Rogan, and the dude's a podcasting empire plus, but we're not going to go Rogan to hit you with like 2 to 4 hours of content per episode. So we would like to know. We'd like to be respectful of our listeners, but we also want to make sure that we provide breadth and depth to whatever topics that we bring on the show. So be on the lookout for a poll on social media at dadmodepod on all the things. Email us at dadmodepod@gmail.com.
There we go. Trust me, you did a lot better than I would have. Tongue twister.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, so we've introduced the topics. Do you have any gratitude or shout outs, love you want to spread? Hate? I'm cool with hate. Hate.
Oh no, I don't hate nobody, man. I will say it's I want to say I got a lot of gratitude for my employer at the moment, because of course I'm moving down there to Texas, and I had just celebrated my 15-year anniversary, and they have done nothing but been really great to me and my family. So I just want to give a shout out to them. I want to put them out there.
Can we clap that up for a second, dude? 15 years is no small feat, especially our generation.
Yeah.
I'm going to let that one ride for just a little bit longer, dude.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate it, man.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, seriously, that is, in today's society for guys our age, we're millennials, and we get a lot of flack and hate for not staying with companies and not being loyal, although these companies aren't loyal to us.
Yeah.
So,
15
years is amazing, dude.
And the good thing about it, we're going to talk about commitment, is, of course, I've been committed to this company. They've been committed to me and my family. And of course, with me moving down there, they're really committed to me, to where they're understanding of what I'm needing to do for my family. So, and my number one commitment right now is being a father. So that's one thing that they understood, and that's what I love about them. So yeah,
let's clap it up again right now. Let's clap it up again, dude. One more time. And hey, man, my gratitude is in the same vein, although in a different lane. I want to give a shout out to Steve, Dorian, and Ken. So my daughter plays basketball. She's in an intramural league, and she's playing with a team that mostly do not have any experience, or mostly does not have experience in basketball. My daughter's been playing for the last couple years now, and a few other girls I've coached and have been playing for a few years. So there's only about 5-6 girls, actually probably about 7, out of, a cool 18 girls on a roster who have experience. The rest don't. Like, some don't even know how to dribble. So after the first game, which we expected chaos, first game, they got blown out. Despite the kids, you have to rotate the players, right? Give them experience. That's what the league asks you to do. So despite the experienced one, the less experienced ones had a hard time, and it didn't result in a victory. It was actually quite a blowout. And so one of the dads came up to me and he said, "Hey, man, you guys need help in practice. We can split them up. You got a lot of girls on the roster." I was like, "Cool," because my man Steve, he's the head coach. I didn't intend to coach at all. I told you guys on different shows, different episodes, that I'm taking a break. And I intend to still take my break from being a head coach. I do like doing the training thing, but that's enough about me. So Steve asked me to help him because of who he has or how many girls he has, etc. Right? It's like, of course, dude, you're my boy. I got your back. That's a lot to work with. I will do that. I'll honor that. I'll commit to that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So another dad, Dorian, came in to practice yesterday, and us 4 dads are out there working with these kids, man, training them. We broke them off into like different groups, and we would have 2 dads on either side of the court working with a group, doing certain drills, looking at their skills that they do and don't have, and trying to like sharpen the ones they do and bring up the ones that they don't. And we really did not want them to have an idle moment whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you're sitting there, you're not doing anything. Let's go work on post moves. Let's pass the ball back and forth. Let's talk about defense. let's do this, etc. And we just kept going. And then we would just we would rotate him out. Okay, while you're doing that, he's going to be running the offense and then the defense. And if you're not watching them, you can come work on this. When it's your turn, then you go jump into that drill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just constant work, man. I really wanted to give those brothers their credit, man, because it takes a village, and all these fathers are committed to their children having some level of success. No one's expecting them to walk away and be one of the dads said, Cheryl Swoops. I said, you're showing your age. Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. I'll go with something more recent. Angel Reese. Nobody's expecting that whatsoever out of any of these girls. However, they did say they are committing. They are committed to the team. So we're committed to helping them be the best versions of themselves at this point in their lives. So.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that, when we talked about that off air, a few days ago when you were telling me about this, the one thing that came to my mind was not only commitment to, what you're wanting to do, but your circle, they were all committed to the same thing. Like they were all committed to making the kids better. It's not just making their kid better if they have kids on the team. It's making the whole team better and making them committed to what they want to do. And that's that's really good to have a village compared to just having one person or one dad that is committed on the level of commitment that you are compared to the other dads. Like they're like, oh, I'm just here to make my name look good. And the children, they see that. And I remember you were telling me that this one kid is, and that it loves what you do. As far as how you are a coach, and they would only play for you, or they would want you to play, so that makes, at least I understood it as that made you feel as if like, hey, this person, I'm going to be monumental to them growing up, just like your daughters, your kids, you're going to be monumental to them growing up to where they say, okay, my dad is this and they did this for me. And so, no, that's really good. I like that. That's going to be,
man,
you guys doing a great job.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I got excited.
No, honestly, you guys doing a really great job. So yeah,
I really appreciate it, man. And this is one way to show commitment to your community. And when I mean community, I mean it's. I'm not specifically talking about race or gender or exactly where you live, but like the world community, I guess, or the neighborhood or the society, however you want to word it. But that's one way to get involved in your community. Go work with kids. If you have a skill, this is the first piece of advice. If you have a skill, teach it to somebody. If you can help somebody, if someone's got a general interest in something and you're able to teach it to them, go for it. What's one way to reinforce your knowledge, right? By teaching somebody else.
I agree.
So, all right, man. It's about that time.
Let's get to it.
So, commitment. What comes to your mind when you hear that word? Just, I don't need a Webster's dictionary, man. I just want to kind of hear it in your words, if you're willing to indulge me there.
Yeah. So commitment to me is just having a sense of what you're willing to do to continue to do a particular activity per se, or thing of some sort. It could be from eating, making sure you're committed to eating your food, to commitment to your marriage and commitment to your family. So whenever I think of commitment, it's just more on those lines of what you're going to do to continue to do those things for the goal that you want to have for that commitment. So this is more of just trying to stay to the course. And that's what a lot of people, even my pastor mentioned, like, stay to the course. Like, this is what if your goal is to do this, your commitment is to stay to the course, to continue to keep doing it. Don't give up on it. And so when it comes to family, we have kids that are committed into a lot of different things, from basketball to scholastically to wanting to go to college, anything like that. We just, as a person, as a dad or parents, we need to help them stay on focus and make it to where they stay together, or stay not stay here, but stay with the course that they're going to if they want to be committed. And like my son is committed to playing basketball and wanting to be the best player in the NBA, sure, but guess what? Just like you're gonna say, put in that work.
Yes, sir.
That's how it's gonna be. You got to put in that work. If you don't put in that work, then how committed are you? So, I mean, that's just what commitment means to me. That's what it may be general, but at least for me, it's just about what you are willing to put in to continue to strive to that goal.
I like that. My definition of commitment, when I hear the word commitment, it's doing the thing that you say you're going to do, or trying your best, because you're not always able to. Sometimes there are factors that come in that will stop you from being able to commit to a goal or to a thing that you say you're going to do. But doing your best to try to honor that. Say, yep, hey, I'm going to commit to helping you out for the next 4 Saturdays cutting your grass. But that's probably a stupid example. Nobody cuts the grass every Saturday. But you know what I mean? Doing a thing. I'm going to do a job for you every Saturday, whether it's cutting the grass, doing whatever other chores the person has or task. That's what you're going to do, right?
Yep.
And so, like you said, very well, by the way, sticking with it, staying the course. Yeah. Staying on track and doing that thing. And commitment can come in the form that we'll discuss here in a bit, in a form of a responsibility. It can be something that you do, meaning like through a job, or you're a student, teaching others commitment, or, as we'll touch on later, being involved in a relationship with somebody. Yeah. That's kind of what I think of when I hear commitment. Now, Merriam-Webster says there are a few different definitions here, but A, an agreement or pledge to do something in the future, especially an engagement to assume a financial obligation at a future date, something pledged. So maybe like commitment of troops to a war. Commitment in the sense of a state or an instance of being obligated or emotionally impelled. Commitment to a cause. So, you always hear that, right? In the movies, he was committed to a cause, or in history, he was committed to his cause. Nothing was going to deter him from whatever. Like you mentioned basketball with your son. I mentioned it with my daughter. The cause is basketball. I'm committed to doing whatever it takes. And I want to touch on that real quick after this. An act of committing a charge or trust, such as a consignment of a penal or mental institution, an act of referring a matter to a legislative committee. So that's more like legalese, penal code kind of stuff, that last one. But you mentioned the basketball thing, and I started watching that Mind the Game podcast with LeBron James and JJ Redick. And in the first 5 or 10 minutes, they talk about mentally, you have to tell your loved ones that there's going to be some sacrifice. You're going to miss certain events. You're not going to be able to do certain things, because in order to be the best at what they do, these guys have to eat, sleep, and breathe basketball. And this goes beyond basketball. This could be whether you're a programmer or a journalist or whatever it is. You want to be the absolute best. You have to totally immerse yourself into it and say, hey, look, this is the thing that I'm going to do. I'm committed to being the best and committed to doing this thing to the best of my ability. So that means I'm going to have to put certain things aside. Yeah. And that's tough. Yeah. You have to have a family, especially if you're have a family, or if you're going to start one or be in a relationship with your partner or spouse. You have to have a person that understands that about you, is willing to work or deal with that, And heck, maybe it also helps that they are committed to something that they do, so they understand what it is that you're going through. I don't know 100% the nature of just sticking with LeBron James of he and Savannah's relationship, but maybe she's committed to holding the house down and taking care of the kids and making sure they've got the best education and blah, blah, blah. That maybe she's committed to that because she doesn't have to work like other wives do in our modern era because her husband's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to belittle Savannah, not at all. I'm saying that may be the nature of their relationship. I don't know. You and I both are in households where our wives work, so they have to be committed to their jobs, their careers to a certain degree, but also be committed to being mothers as we have to be committed to being fathers.
Yeah, and there's commitment everywhere. It doesn't matter where it's at, and that's the crazy thing is this is everywhere. It can be from, like you mentioned, at your own job, like at my job, making sure you're staying focused, to making sure that you keep your house clean. There's just so many different variations and different levels of commitment, and it's just something that we just need to make sure that we stay to the course. Like you mentioned, it's like sometimes you're always not gonna get there, but guess what? You're gonna at least fight hard to do it. And
yes, sir.
You're gonna keep trying, to where, if your daughters aren't getting the math problem right, you gotta make it to where they're getting the math problem right. And I mean and it's crazy because I was sitting there thinking about this last night, and this is kind of like talking about what we talked about. I don't remember what episode it was. Doing, controlling or doing making it to where we're not always doing it for them, but then guess what? We're helping them. And so we, in this episode, we need to help them with their commitment, to where it's like, hey, we're going to help them with their commitment, help ourselves with the commitment, with the commitment that we made for ourselves, and holding us accountable for making sure that we stay committed to what we're doing and in anything that we want to stay committed to.
It's episode 6. Help, don't do. Guide, don't control. But that's a very good example to bring up, dude, because it's like commitment on commitment. You're committed to helping your children succeed in their studies, and they got to be committed to their studies.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
I like it.
So, I like that. That's the first thing that popped in my head. It's like it's like intertwiningly there. Like boom, like this is awesome. To talk about this.
Yeah, man. And it's funny because when you really think about it, there are so many things that are seeking your attention. It's hard to commit to everything.
Yeah.
I don't recall if I've mentioned it here. I know I've said it on WFS, I think a couple of times. And for those of you who listen to Wave of the Future and this show, if you missed the last episode, I'm taking a break from Wave of the Future to commit to doing some things behind the scenes for my company that I started that produces all these podcasts, Common Sense Media. There'll be more updates on that down the road. But I've mentioned there on that show, I can't do anything, or I can't do everything. And my goal in 2024 was to commit to doing less. There are some recent events that I've had to miss because I just needed the rest. I was burnt out. There's things that I just needed to do, man. I just had to sit down and go, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't. You're gonna spread yourself too thin. And I'm kind of getting ahead of where we wanted to go by saying this, and we'll circle back on it and touch on it again. But it's okay to say no. You don't have to. And I think a big thing that we have to do, not just as fathers, but as people in general, is manage expectations.
Yeah.
Hey, I can do this thing. However, I can only do so much. If you already know that your time is a little thin and it's going to be tough for you to commit to doing like every facet, hey, I will commit to doing. Commitment doesn't mean you have to do everything. Commitment can be, I will do these things, but I can't do that. What's that song by Meatloaf? I will do anything for love, but I won't
There you
do
go.
that. I never found out what that is. I just want to know, by the way, what the heck is that? Literally that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the point of the song. I digress.
Right.
But hey, man, 10 things on this list, I can do about a cool 6 of them. That's most.
Yeah.
Still, that's still the majority of them. 51% is a majority, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, yeah.
And you gotta say no sometimes. I end up having to do it too, and it's just it is hard to a degree to say no, but a lot of times when I say no, it's like I really can't do it because I'm not going to put myself in that situation, and then of course make me look foolish because I couldn't hold up to that commitment of somebody else or something else. So yeah, make sure you don't want to commit uh to something that you're not going to be able that that you're not going to be able to commit to, like, or not
Right.
overburden yourself. And you want to make sure that you do everything, focus on everything to where you can get things done all really good. Like you can't just say that you'll do it and then you do it not so great. It's just not
You kind of, I'll say it, you kind of half-ass it.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to keep it clean, but it's all
I know.
good.
I was trying to think I was trying to think of a clean way to say it too, but yeah, you don't want to like do it halfway. Yeah. Or half stepping is probably the better way to say
exactly. And it's crazy about just saying no. It can, some people may respect that. You never know, like the respect that you can get if you say no to somebody. Like, I appreciate your honesty and not being able to complete this or do something for me, or I mean, and if anything, if you don't have to say no, you can maybe help out with that commitment. Like, okay, not just say, hey, I can't do it for you, but I can help you with it. Like, what can I, here, I can show you some articles on what to do, or here's some directions on how to do it, or whatever it is to help you with that commitment. And not a lot of people, not a lot of people do that. They just think, nope. It's like, well, maybe you can help them out a little bit. So,
yeah, absolutely. Now, let's talk about how we teach our kids commitment. I think the basis of showing your kids a commitment, strong commitment, is having strong, if you're with a partner or spouse, strong marriage.
Yeah.
Show your wife, show them the love between you and your wife. Or even if sometimes your relationship isn't in the best place, at least show them that you're committed to working together to provide them the life that they live, or the lives they live. Even if you are co-parenting, mom and I don't work out, but you know what? We do work out, or where we do our best to work out is through y'all. We're committed to at least making sure you, or you all, or y'all, or however you'd like to word it, we're committed to making sure that you've got all the resources that you need to be successful in school, or any extracurricular activities, or any of the interest that you may have. We try to take some sort of an interest in it, even if we're truly not that interested, a certain level of interest, because it excites you.
Yeah.
But I think that working together with your spouse, or your co-parent, and showing them, hey, this is our family dynamic. We understand the assignment. There's love here, whether it's the love between you two and the child, or at least the mutual love you two have for your child or children.
Yeah, because that's the biggest commitment that you can, at least not the biggest commitment, but it's a big commitment when it comes to marriage.
They didn't ask to be here. We brought them here.
Yeah, exactly. Committing to bring in the family. That's a pretty big, like 90% of 100 commitment, like that you are as a as a dad, like you're bringing in somebody, you have a relationship with somebody to bring in that somebody, you're committing your life to that, to your children. And the one thing I would say is showing, be an example, showing examples, like be an
Yes.
example, like, that's something that gets, like, it doesn't get shown a lot, to where a lot of people think that do what I do. And it's not just doing what you got to show good examples. You can't just sit there and say that you are going to, be a good example. You got to show that you're doing good examples. So, the united front, making, if you are
Yes.
together, or even if you're not together, when it comes to, like you were saying, just being there and having it to where you don't want to make it to where they're going to see you and they say, hey, well, I'm going to do it this way because my mom, well, you're going to show them good examples. You're not going to show them bad examples. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, as far as just showing those examples, showing, I mean, they may not see you go to work every day and see you, bust your butt, but, to where you're trying to provide for the family, but you can be there for them. And showing examples can be as easy as cleaning the dishes,
Oh
like
yeah,
just
like through chores, like
do
household chores.
chores.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that goes in, that's something that, here's a little example of that. It's just funny because today I had my, or yesterday I had my son do the dishes, and he's like, oh man, I got to touch all these things. It's like, well, I do it. It needs
Yeah.
to get done. So it's not, we are a clean family. We don't want to have like all kinds of stuff out there. That's an example of what you have to show. You don't want to show them like not doing dishes, because then they're gonna, guess what, not do dishes. They're not gonna want to clean their room because you're not cleaning your room, or you're not living a cleaning life or a healthy life. So yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
mean,
show good
you're
examples.
committed to showing them that you're showing them your commitment to having a clean environment,
Mm-hmm.
or at least the sanitary environment. You may not have you don't have to have the most perfectly spotless home, but at least have some clean dishes to eat on so you don't get sick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then
You know what I
also
mean?
show, and then
As
yeah,
that going
so
with that example.
yeah, and then also show your how you treat people. So that's one thing that, when you show you treating your mother, or your grandparents or whoever, you show how you treat them, then that'll make it to where they're going to at least show that. When you show them that, then they're going to want and they're going to want to do that too, and say, hey, these people in your life are important to you, so treat them with the respect and treat them with the dignity that they deserve.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that, man. Excuse me. So going with examples, you've mentioned washing the dishes. So that's an example of teaching them through chores. You're teaching them responsibility. Be committed to doing your responsibilities, and not
Mm-hmm.
just doing them, not half stepping, which I should have said earlier. Sorry, parents. But
That's all good.
not just half stepping through it, but like do it with some sort of sense of pride, or well enough to say, you know what, I did that. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And leading by example, I mentioned marriage, but even in the things that you do. So
Yeah.
I'll give you a really good example. I am a big proponent on making my bed. And no, this is not going to go into Jordan Peterson. This is stuff that to me just I thought was basic stuff, but apparently it's a big enough deal for him to like talk about that and have a bunch of people be like, "Well, Jordan Peterson said make your bed." Okay, cool. I make my bed because I've always made my bed. My mom I grew up in a military home just like you did, and that's just what I do. I get up in the morning and I make my bed. It's presentable. It looks presentable. And
Mm-hmm.
my kids don't always want to do that. My kids wanted these big pillows on their bed and then all this stuff. So I like, cool. You want those cool pillows? Yeah, they're cute. When you make your bed, they got to be on there. See, me, I
Yep.
was lazy. My mom would try to be like, "Oh, you want this set with all the pillows?" I learned. I was like, no, I have my one pillow that I sleep with, my blanket and my sheets. That's less
That's
stuff I
funny.
got to deal with. No,
I was gonna say that my
bare
kids do the
minimum.
same thing.
Yeah,
They're
I'm like
like,
bare
I
minimum,
got
bro.
it's like I just
Yeah, I
need
don't want none of
a
that
throw
stuff.
pillow or not throw
Yeah.
pillow, a throw sheet or a throw blanket, like something small
Yeah.
just to cover it.
Oh, I learned that I learned that like really quick when I was young. I was like, nah, I don't want all that extra stuff because then that's more stuff I got to put on my bed later on. Nah, I'm too lazy for that. So
Yeah,
you're
my
lucky I'm
son
making
asked
my
me
bed.
about that. He was like, "Why do we need a sheet? We have like 3 sheets in here." I'm like, "Oh, because explain
So like,
that."
yeah, they got all the kids have all this stuff on their bed, right? But I tell them, hey, your bed is not made. They'll pull their blankets up, their sheets and stuff, and then a couple of times the young fella, the 5-year-old, he'll just pull the blanket up and not do the sheets, and I see this big lump in the bed, and I'm like, nah, fam, you got to take that whole thing and flatten that bad boy out and pull it up, straighten out your pillows, put these other throw pillows that go on top of the whole thing, put that little fancy pillow your grandmother made for you up there too. Hey, do the whole thing. So why am I going off on a tangent? So there has been times in the morning where like my wife has gotten up and she doesn't make the bed and I hear her getting on the kids. And I will say this, fathers, and for the mothers listening, do this behind closed doors. Because the first time I did it, I was not behind closed doors. I was like, man, why are you getting on them? And you didn't even make our bed. And then she looked at me like, I'll kill you. I was like, okay, I won't do that again. So, but I told her, so we have to lead by example. Because then even as something as simple as doing the sheets or making your bed, you become a hypocrite. Wait, you're telling me to do this, but you don't even do this.
Exactly.
What's up with that?
Yeah. And I mean, what answer are you going to give for that?
Right.
So it's like, because
now,
I'm the dad or whatever.
Granted, there are times where you may not get to it right away. But I mean, like, if you're getting ready to march out of the door, because sometimes I get up in the morning, I don't make my bed right away. I get up, I do what I got to do, move around, make sure the kids are straight. And then I go in the room like, all right, let's make this bed. So I'm not saying you have to snap right out of bed and go, on your feet, soldier, make your bed. But if you're going to ask your children to do something that you also should do, lead by that. Be committed to leading by example.
Yeah. Yep.
Show them. You mentioned homework. Hey, I don't know about you, but I worked full-time and went to school near full-time for a long time while raising a family. And I did homework. There are nights where I would sit there and I would so want to play my guitar or watch a TV show or play a video game or go out and do whatever it is that I like to do, social things. And it's like, you know what? I got a class to go to, or I've got homework to do, or I've got to take when I was doing online classes. I've got to power through this book because I've got all these questions I need to answer.
Yeah.
And so your kids will see that. I wouldn't change it. At first I was thinking, yeah, man, I really wish I would have done this sooner, but I wouldn't change it because my kids saw me putting in the work.
Yeah.
In addition to raising them.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice to see. As far as like having the kids see you work, the kids, they see me work, of course, when they sometimes come to my job, but
right,
they don't see the magnitude of the work that I do. Like they see that I'm looking at computer screens, and it's like, well, that's easy. Well, I'm like, well, I mean, it ain't like that. It ain't as easy as you think it is.
Yeah. So, I work from home, and my kids will come in and they'll see me working here, and every once in a while I might pick up the phone and look at something real quick, but I try to make a habit of whenever they're home to stay off my phone because I don't want them to think that dad's sitting there on IG all day or something instead of working. Mm-hmm. It's like you just happen to catch me looking at my phone because I got a message and then I veered off, right? But leading by example, have them see that you are committed to doing the work. Like, hey, I'm doing the thing that's keeping these lights on.
Yeah.
That pays these bills here, that puts the clothes on your back and the food on the table and all this stuff that your parents would say when they would get mad at you. Back in my day.
Yep.
Right? Now, we got to be positive. Positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Positive reinforcement. Now they do something they're not supposed to do. It's a negative, but when you have a kid who commits to, say, something like a sport or a club.
Yeah.
Pick one. Let's just say chess club, debate club, basketball, football. We've all seen it. We've all experienced it at some point. Yeah, I shouldn't have done this. This sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that team is rather small and they need your presence there. But the kid's like, I don't want to. Now, my biggest frustration when I was coaching basketball, it's honestly, if I'm being 1,000% transparent, one of the reasons why I stopped coaching, I don't want to coach. It's not because I don't enjoy it. I was raised differently and I think differently.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do something, I'm going to stick with it. Whether I feel like in the back of my mind, yeah, this isn't it. I don't want to do this anymore. I signed up for this. I got to go through with it.
Yeah.
I got to finish it.
Yeah. What would that look like if you quit?
Right. So
to that person's eyes.
Exactly.
About that example. Oh, you
so
can just quit anything.
My younger daughter at one point was saying she wanted to stop playing one of her sports in the middle of the season. And I was like, no, we committed to doing this as a family by spending money. So I've got money tied up into this, right? They can't see the money. So that honestly does not mean that much to them because they don't have the concept, right, quite like we do. But in B, you said you were going to do this. It's important that you finish this because now you're leaving those other children behind and you leave that coach in a bad situation because he or she doesn't have as many players as written on paper. So now that makes them have to make adjustments that they didn't account for.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, that's not fair.
It's not fair.
Now, if they had a roster of 20, then sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hard maybe. However, you said you were going to do it. Debate club. Oh, man. We got 5 strong people on the debate club. Oh, I'm going to quit. Well, that sucks just because Roger quit and Sally's sick. So now we're going to be doing 2-on-5 in this debate. I don't know how many people are in the debate club.
Yeah.
I don't know what the numbers are like. I'm just thinking about it, like, I guess from a sport guy's mentality. Mm-hmm. But the point is, have your children stick with it. Even if they're not good at it, they're going to learn something from it. They're going to learn that they're not good at debating. They're going to learn that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to play devil's advocate for a second, though. You do got to listen to them, though. Like, just to see where they're at. Like, if you, I would say, like, if they are feeling a certain kind of way, and then they're like, they'll be committed, but then their heart's not in it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do?
I get what you're saying.
Then, you know, totally. Like, what do you do as a parent? Like, do you go with them and say, okay, so I paid $1,000 for you to go to school, but Dad, you know, I just don't have the heart to do it anymore. And I appreciate you funding up the money to get me into, I just don't feel it anymore. Like, what do we do as parents in that moment?
So
do we, you know,
everything I'm saying is not prescriptive. You know your child better than we do.
Mm-hmm.
And every situation has a certain level of nuance. I'm sure I'm making more of a blanket statement. So I get what you're saying. So let's go with your school example. I paid $1,000 for you to do this. Who asked to go to the school?
The kid?
If you say as a parent, I'm going to put Roger. I don't know why I'm picking on that name. That just comes to the first thing that comes to me. That's such an old name too.
Roger.
Right, Roger that. But if I say Roger Jr., change it up a little bit, you're going to go to this private school because that's where I want you to go. And because I'm trying to keep up with all the Joneses, or I'm not going to tell my kid that, right? But it's a status thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Roger Jr. doesn't really fit into that kind of school, and it's for a certain level of thinkers, but you're going to throw him in anywhere because you want to say, my son goes to the Thompson School of Education. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a bad environment for them, and then they're socially just not comfortable. They're falling behind because X reasons. And then they say, Mom, Dad, this isn't it. I don't want to do this. And your pride won't allow you to pull them out. You committed without listening to your child, especially if they told you ahead of time. Now, if they're open to it and then they go there and they're just like, you know what, Mom and Dad, this is not working. I don't think I should be here anymore. And you're like, too bad, suck it up. I paid the money. Okay. Now, if it's one of those things where you just say, finish it up for the school year because we paid for the semester, or if we pay for the semester, we pay for the year, I think you could at least try to get that out of them. That makes sense. But to force a child into something because, you know, that's what you want them to do is rough. Now I say that let's go back to a sport or a club. Now, if you tell your child you're going to play soccer because I want you to play a sport, the better thing, in my opinion, and this is what I did with my children, and what we do with our children is we ask them, what are you interested in?
Yeah.
What looks interesting? What do you want to try?
Yeah.
And then we put them in these low stress entry level leagues to just try a sport. My son played t-ball for 2 seasons. My daughter played soccer for 2 seasons. You know, my son's played soccer for a season, and my one of my daughters played basketball for 3 seasons in that entry level league. I think she's ready to move up now and do something a little bit more competitive because she seems to want to keep doing it. My oldest played in a little entry level league. Now she's playing AAU basketball, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can do that thing where you say, let's just try it out. And then if they say, you know what, dude, I don't really think I want to do this sport. Okay, cool. Do us a favor. We signed up for a season. Let's finish the season. I know your heart isn't into it. You don't love it, but do us, you know, we've committed to doing this. At least do your best. Even if they're, like I said, even if they're not good. Now, if it's something that's dangerous or it's like apparent they're absolutely horrible, then hey, make the judgment call that you got to make. But if it's something that they can deal with, or if you just got money that you can throw out the window and you're like, you know what, screw it, it's $500 for a season, but it's cool. I don't need that $500. And yeah, you know what, you got to like that.
Like you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like it, and you don't want to be there. You don't like the team. Pull the plug. Do what you got to do. Eat that money. That's fine. You know, I think you are of the mindset of trying to get your kids to just finish strong as they can. Finish strong doesn't always mean that you have to be the best.
Yeah.
Finish strong, just see it through completion.
Yeah.
Do your best. To me, if I have a child who's horrible at doing something, like they say, hey, I want to do 8 weeks of a pottery class, and everything they bring home just looks like a ball of goo and it's falling apart. And it's like, what is that supposed to be? Oh, this is a vase. And I'm like, that's what that is? And that thing's like 2 inches away from just like, or one bad wind blow from just falling over and shattering into pieces because it's just leaning. Hey, you will know in the back of your mind, the vase, the pottery class is not their thing, but you got to give them love for sticking with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that I was going to say is this, what I would end up doing is just making it to where if do the same thing like you mentioned, talk to them, say, hey, you know, son or daughter or kid or whoever you talk to, I think, you know, can you do this for me, you know, for whatever situation it is? And if you can do it for me, you know, if you can do it, that'd be great, you know. And then who knows, things could turn up differently to where they would end up re-liking, I guess, if that's the, be interested back into that interest of whatever commitment that they're in, so just make it to where, they can get back to it if they want to, or if they're able to.
I would be careful about saying do it for you, only because now it becomes about you and less about them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, not arguing with you, but if you say, hey, do it for me, then it's like, I did this for my parents, even though I didn't want to. My parent, because it becomes my parents made me do it. It's going to kind of spin that cycle. Now,
yeah, that's a good point.
Now, if you say, hey, you chose to do this. And that's what I kept saying to my younger daughter. It's like, hey, you chose to do this. You've got 3 or 4 weeks left at that point, whatever, when it was that season. We're halfway there, dude. You might as well just finish.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, just come on. Let's just knock this out and be done with it.
And that's the thing is you got to push it, kind of.
And then going back to the positivity thing, when they do something, even if whether they want to do this thing long term or not, hey, you did a great job. That was a good game. Yeah. That was a great game. And I've gotten on my children because I've seen games where they're not trying at all. It's like, hey, what's going on, dude? You said you wanted to do this and you're just sitting there. You're not even trying. I was like, that's not going to get it done. That's frustrating to watch. Because we know that when you put forth even a little bit of effort, you make a difference on the field, the court, the club, the stage, whatever. When you put just 10% more than what you did, it's noticeable. Yeah. You got something there. Yeah. So that shows that you were able to make a positive impact on the thing that you're doing and really show them that, hey, everybody's got their responsibilities. They're working together where they're all trying to do their part. Now, one thing that we have to make clear while we're talking about that is the difference that is subtle between a commitment and an obligation.
Yeah.
So I am obligated to, this may not be the best, but let's say respect. I guess let's say respect my teachers. The reason why I say it's tough with that, because if your teachers are disrespecting you, but just as a general rule, let's just roll with it. I'm obligated to respect my teachers. I'm obligated to listen to my parents, my grandparents, respect them, be kind to my coworkers, my classmates, whatever. Like, or at least respect them. And when I say respect them, it just, don't punch them. You don't have to like them, but you got to give them respect for being there as a student trying to learn just like you are.
Yeah.
Whereas, as mentioned, the commitment is an agreement. I agree to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm committed to paying Verizon for my cell phone bill, but I'm not obligated to like the people that I work with every time I have a problem with my bill.
Yeah.
Sure, I can give them some level of respect because I need their help, but if they treat me like garbage, I don't have to like them or whatever. That's probably not the best example, but I think you understand where I'm going with that.
Yeah, you can always get out of the commitment if you want to. You just gotta pay, or there's gonna be some sacrifices that you're gonna have to make to
and
get out of that.
And that's not
commitment.
always the perfect example too, right? Because there's commitment on both ends. We're committed to providing you a service as long as you're committed to paying us money.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this episode, it's more of just trying to get the kids and getting yourself and family oriented to where they know what we can about commitment, like the meaning of commitment and what they're committing to. Because a lot of people think they know certain areas of the commitment that they're committing to, like say for instance, marriage will be a big commitment. They thinking that commitment is just, not only just loving the one for the entire life, but then of course they may be thinking of like, oh cool, well, if I get commitment, then I can get sex all day long or whatever, like all these different things where, where in kids, they may be doing basketball because they were thinking their commitment is getting money through, they're getting money from being a basketball player. And that's like, well, that may not be the best way of being a commitment. You know, you want to be commitment because you love the
money
game.
helps.
It helps. It helps.
I'm messing with you.
Exactly. You know, no, I mean, that could be the reason why that they're mainly doing that commitment, because there's something that it's benefiting them.
It's a monetary benefit or monetary benefit.
Yeah. You know, so, and it's, you know, it's something that I think the main thing is just trying to getting our kids to stay committed to something. Because I mean, I have an example that I want to say real quick. One of the commitments that I have witnessed was with my daughter. So, and this is maybe something that will come up in a future episode, but financially. So she has she does chores around the house or for other people, and she saves money. I want to save up for an iPad 12 or whatever the number is. And so it's like, okay, well, you know, if you're committing to this is $1,200 or whatever the price was the minute that she mentioned it. And I mean, of course, me being her dad, I knew that wasn't going to happen because, you know, I'm not trying. In that sense, I have no faith because I know my daughter just like anybody else. If anybody else knows my daughter, y'all know who she is. She knows this ain't going to happen. So, but as her dad, you want to try and make it to where it is, to where you can help her with it. Like, I'm going to help you get there, but guess what? You got to help yourself by keeping your money in your pocket or wherever you have your money at, and stay committed to where you keep, fight off these sort of demons of like candy bars and the impulse aisles or toy sections, and this, to stay true to the course. Like, okay, this is what you see mommy has an iPad, you like it, don't you want that? So those are the examples of what you can have.
You're going to have to work hard for it.
Work hard to get it. Yeah. Mommy works hard. My daddy works hard. And, there's nothing's ever given to them. And that's one thing that they all need to understand, is that nothing is ever given to them. It's all about earned. It's, they have to earn it. And I wish everybody can figure that out. But, we just got to continue to drill that in their brain.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. Hey, so let's talk about the spouses here.
Yeah.
In terms of commitment, one thing that I wanted to make sure we put out into the Dadaverse is, don't put, with all these commitments and these things that you're trying to do, and you want to just be, for those of you who want to be everything to everyone, I know from experience, brothers, fellas,
yeah,
you can't. That's why I'm scaling back. As far as the spouses go, do not put them on the back burner.
Oh, I know.
Because that's how you create resentment.
Don't you have one of those little things
when you hear the sentence? Now, right now, I am fortunate to not have heard this sentence, but I knew I was skating very close to it. I could see the shore from where I was in the ocean. You got time for all these other people, but not me. You got to swim away from that. You got to swim away from that island. Nope.
Yeah.
Because once you get on that island, I've seen it. I've seen it in other people that I know, man. That could lead to dangerous territory. We always talk about the wives, almost like, not every episode, every few episodes, we have to remind you guys, you got to take care of your partner. You committed to her. She committed to you. He committed to you. They, whatever.
Yeah.
You're committed to that spouse. And they have to know that with all the things that you do, there is a place for them.
Yeah.
And your children will see that. They will learn that balance. Because this is something that we don't have written down at all, but commitment is also a game of balance, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because the more commitments and the more responsibilities and the things that you take on, you've got to be able to spin those plates a little bit sometimes.
That's true.
Hey,
that is so true.
Let me put this over here. Now this is going. This is the reason why, going back to the intro when I mentioned with WFS, yet another reason why I stepped away, because I'm not doing a good job of balancing the things that I want to do for Chasm and the rest of us that are here. So I had to let something that I love go for a little bit, not forever, but you know, just, hey, and you moving down here is a perfect time is perfect time to take that break, because then I don't have any shows to worry about for a bit.
Yeah.
So then I can totally clear my plate and allow me to focus to make what we do better. Not everybody's going to have that situation, but it's important to remember that you have a partner and that they're on this journey called life with you, this journey called parenthood.
Yeah, don't take it for granted. Like, that's the one thing that everyone should understand. Don't take anything for granted. You know, don't think that everything is going to be okay. You know, there's, you know, you got to fight for anything. Like, it's, you know, you're going to have to earn it. And if you don't earn it, then guess what? It could be bye-bye, you know, or not earn it. But if you don't stay to it, it could be bye-bye. And I mean, that's a really good point when it comes to marriage. You know, just don't think that your significant other is always happy. You know, just don't think that roses are always going to be the key to her heart. You know, those, just continue to be there. You know, don't put, you know, like you said, don't put her in the back burner, because you guys are a team. You guys are both committed to each other. You know, even if you know, are trying to get to that level of commitment together, or, you know, because you guys are striving to that goal of wanting to be together. You know, so yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. And I mean, I love how you know, when you put that out there.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, stuff. And hey, look, stuff is cool. You talked about roses. Stuff is cool, but ultimately she wanted you, fool.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good verse.
You know what I mean? So
bars.
you bars, you know, hold on. Bars.
That's
I mean,
right.
you know, you can buy her a car. You could buy her all the roses. You could buy her jewelry. You can get, if she's a gamer, you can build her a gaming PC and buy her the PlayStation 5 Super Plus. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who's she going to go on a ride with? Yep. Who is she going to say, oh, smell these roses you got me? I love these roses. Who's she going to go and play games with?
Mm-hmm.
You. And sure, there are the children there too. But sometimes she just wants to game with you.
Yeah, she wants to be with you. Amen to that.
So make sure you do that. Make sure you do that. Also, got some personal tips. I want to circle back on what I briefly mentioned at the beginning about saying no.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again.
My bad.
It's okay. Stupid. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. You gotta, this is how you avoid burnout. You can't take on everything. And tell your kids, that's the biggest thing. Tell the kids it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
You know, some children, and because kids, they got a hard time with that. You know, it's like, I mean, I'll give you a good example, because I know everybody who's a parent has been here. And as some of you are still here. What's that in your hand, Timmy? Sally? Oh, 5 birthday party invites for like the next month.
Yeah.
There's 2. There's one at 1 o'clock. And then there's one at 4. Oh, next Saturday, there's 2 at the same time. And then the following weekend, there's one Saturday and there's one Sunday. Oh, that's the time we go and do this or do that. And sorry, dudes and dudettes, parents, we don't even go to most parties.
Yeah, I agree.
We're so busy with the stuff that we have to do. And then like, we try to make an effort for the kids that we know that our children, like they're really good at letting us know, like, oh, hey, I got an invite for John, but I mean, you know, I don't really have to go to that. But then they'll be like, hey, yo, Timmy's my dude, Dad. I have to go see Timmy. I've got to go to his party. You know what I mean? I have to be seen at Timmy's party. I'm like, dang, dude. Okay, I'm going to be busy doing this, but okay, your mom and I will figure it out. So teaching them, though, that it's okay to say no. You can't, we're just not. I mean, there's sometimes upwards 30 kids to a class if you're in an overcrowded school.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one other thing too. Make sure that they understand the word no. Like when it
Right.
comes to the
And knowing
kids,
when to
like
say it.
yeah, and when to say it. Yeah, exactly. No, daddy. Wait, what?
No.
So yeah,
No.
exactly. But you know, I mean, that's my main thing. I was gonna say was just like just teaching them to, you know, because I have my daughter that thinks that I'm gonna say that every question is gonna be a yes. Like, can I have ice cream? No. Why not? Because it can rot your teeth. Well, you know, like all these different reasons. Like, you know, like so definitely. I know this is a burnout thing, but then we have to make sure that they understand that not only that they don't need to say no, or that to make sure that they understand the word no, but just make sure that they don't have to commit themselves to all these different things, like you're mentioning of these birthday parties.
And neither do you, Dad.
Yeah.
Neither do you. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you hate to let your kid down. And I've heard from friends and read in certain books or in blogs, or like, don't say no. Don't say no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I can't say yes to everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people try to nicely say no without saying it. And look, I appreciate your I appreciate these people trying to be a little bit more constructive in that delivery of the of a disappointing answer, because it's still not yes. So let's just cut to the chase and say, hey, look, I would love to go to your party. However, I've got these other things that I need to do. Or I would love to go to your party. I cannot go because this. So you don't
Yeah.
still not saying no, but you're saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not hearing, I'll be there. So word it any way that you want that makes it, you know, you could pour syrup on poop. It's still poop. It ain't pancakes.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's
Shout
so
out to
true.
Lloyd Banks. Shout out to Lloyd Banks, man. He said you could pour
where's
syrup
he at?
on S, and that don't make it pancakes.
Mm.
And it's true. And trust your gut. You can't do it all, man.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. You have to trust your gut. Something doesn't feel right. I don't know about you, Rich, but I have gone against what's in my gut sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I've dearly regretted it. I mentioned my daughter's basketball league, but I'll be open. This is a safe space for the world. You know, I talk about all this commitment. I told my daughter I don't want her to play in this league. It doesn't cost a lot. It's like $20 for a jersey.
Yeah.
I told her I don't want her to play in this league because it's not good for her development as a player. That's not a knock on anybody in the league. It's that she's gotten to a certain level that I don't want her to regress. And I think she needs a certain level of structure to continue meeting the goals that she has now set upon herself. Not even me. Her. Yeah. She's got goals. I'm like, this is going to set you back, kiddo. Yeah. Don't do this. But she wanted to do it. And then I told her, I said it. I am actively looking to try to get you in front of some other coaches out there.
Yeah.
And we lucked out. She has a trainer and a coach now that she's playing for. Not to make this all about basketball. This is only an example. But she is on paper on this team, but I think she should not play for it anymore. Because the goal, it was never designed for her to be there on this team. My gut told me she shouldn't be doing it. I've talked to her about it. It's not about me. It's about her journey. She still says she wants to play in some of the games, and that's cool. I respect her decision. It's what she wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, I agree.
I have to trust trusting my gut tells me she shouldn't, but we as parents have to remember it's not all about us.
Yeah.
And for her perspective is being there with her friends.
Yeah.
And I've spent all this time teaching them about commitment. And as much as I don't want her to play in this league, I can't help but be proud of her because she committed to doing that on her own.
Yeah.
She said that's what she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that if they're willing, if they're understanding that they're keeping up that commitment, us as parents need to like say, hey, I'm glad that you are staying true to the course.
Yeah.
And keeping that commitment that you promised, that you made for yourself.
Can't be mad at that. No. Can't be mad at that.
But yeah, no, that you can't. And I know for doing everything, it's, going back on that, it's like I do that a lot, like trying to do things for things that aren't in my position. It's like, well, I'm like, man, well, how are they going to learn if I do it all?
Right.
Like that's something that, you can't do it. It's how are they going to show their commitment for what they're doing, but then, they're going to put their commitment towards something else if you do doing that commitment for them.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly the next phase, especially at the age that our children are. So you got a teenager and I've got 2 preteens. You've got a preteen, and I've got a kid who's just out of who's out of the toddler. He's no longer a toddler. He's 5 years old. So where we are in the preteen phase and the teen phase, right, is that we have these tiny humans who are starting more and more making their own decisions, their own choices, and taking the lessons and the foundations that we've tried to give to them and moving in a certain direction or certain directions, depending on what that is. And I know this is kind of sounding a little vague, but the point of that is that these people are people, man.
Yeah.
They're people. They're going to be humans. Adults before we know it.
Yeah. We're so make sure that, make sure to make the right choices. Help them out.
Yeah. Yeah. And something like commitment and multiple facets, teaching them multiple facets of commitment is what will help shape their future.
Yeah.
And help shape them as people. Along with many other things. We can talk about responsibility. We could talk about honesty. We could talk about integrity. We could talk, about standing your ground.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. I mean, man, there's so much. You know why? Because dad mode never ends, baby.
Exactly.
The music came in hot.
It's all right, though. Spit like hot fire.
Hot fire.
That sounded, yeah.
Hey, man. Dylon.
Gather the fingers. Dylon.
Hey, that dude said that Chappelle ruined his career. I'm like, I don't think he had much of a career, dude.
Yeah. I was going to mention a lot of things off that show. No means no. That's all good. Oh, man.
As mentioned, you can catch us everywhere at dadmodepod. And you can email us, dadmodepod@gmail.com. He is at
M2Mania20. Oh, all the things.
All the things. And I'm at E Can Talk. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. This has been so fun, sir.
Yes, it has. This is a really great one.
And until next time,
I just want to say,
go for
it. Keep committing to listening to the show.
Yes. Peace.
Peace.